My name's Ryan, alcoholic.
Ryan.
And sometimes I go by Crawdad. I think I'm going to let Crawdad tell Ryan's story tonight because he probably knows it better. Grateful to be a part of this home group, Keeping It Sober group. Best home group in the world. And if you don't think your home group's the best home group. I'm grateful this group. My sobriety date is 9/20. I think the year of our Lord, 2008. I talked to my sponsor for this afternoon and asked him, because I've never really called him before I speak, and asked him, is there any pointers you give me? He said, well, just pray to be of service to God and others. It's pretty simple. So that's what I did. I didn't spend an hour or two sitting in the woods meditating by myself on what a great talk or what I was going to talk about. What I did a couple hours back, my son Lucas said, hey, Dad, let's go for a bike ride. So I went out, pumped all the tires up on the bicycles, and we went on an adventure through the woods. Went up to the Family Dollar because the bicycles were squeaking. They had been neglected out in the backyard. Got some WD-40 and sprayed them things out. Got us a 4-pack of Yoo-Hoos and went to the park. Picked up trash, man. That's into action. That's what it's taken for me to stay sober one day at a time. It's taken everything that it's got to get me here too. I grew up just down the road, Pinebluff, North Carolina. Some of you guys may know it. Probably swam in Pinebluff Lake. Somebody said, that water, I ain't swimming in there. That water looks like sweet tea. I love that lake. I love my lake. And my kids have learned to grow up there. And I learned to party down there a little bit. I think my first taste of alcohol was, it's these old 40-ounce Budweiser somebody had tossed in these bamboo packs. I don't know about y'all, growing up as a kid, though, I like to make forts, right? Make forts out in the woods or straw and just a lean-to, and it's like in a fort you can kind of hide and get away with something, I guess my first taste of alcohol was those Budweisers, though, and that was some skank beer, after it sits out, gets hot and cold and hot and cold. So I don't remember catching a buzz. I think the first time I really caught a buzz, I mixed some Bartles and James, along with some Jim Beam, and seemed like old Budweiser. And I think that was on an empty stomach. I don't know if you guys ever drank on an empty stomach. I learned how to drink a little more successful later on. But I had a great childhood growing up. I don't remember anything. I've genuinely always tried to be happy, joyous, and free. And I don't remember a whole lot, right? I just remember having a good childhood, and not that I don't think that has anything to do with my alcoholism, but I grew up with the boys. We had a corner lot, and it seemed like all the neighborhood kids were attracted to our house. Grew up with some older guys getting alcohol, and I'm gonna try not to stay drunk this whole 45 minutes, man. I get in here and say I've said I'm not gonna stay drunk, and then I stay drunk the whole time, man. But it ain't so much about how long I drank, because if I come in here and I start comparing myself to you, and I'm looking at the differences, then I would quickly undiagnose myself as an alcoholic. But I've been here for a few cycles of the moon, in which I want to climb the water tower every time there gets a full moon. So I don't necessarily know if I've been returned to my right mind at this point, but nobody's ever come back in and said, hey man, I found I was an alcoholic. I had it all wrong. That hasn't happened yet. But I can get lost pretty easy too. I spoke up here one time, said, man, if I get hung up and just draw a blank, you can draw a blank, man. It's like, I said, I'm just going to grab my guitar and I'm just going to start playing. We'll just have a shindig. How about it? But like I said, my childhood was great. I had a lot of activities with my dad. Mom was a loving mother. She could have taught us how to clean up after ourselves a little bit better, because that kind of carries over into adulthood. So it's like you go look at my house in my backyard. It's like, that boy, there's got to be an alcoholic living here, but he's not drinking. I used to collect beer cans. Man, I used to collect beer cans, and I'm gonna turn them back in to give me some more alcohol. And man, the wind, the bags would get old and deteriorate, and the wind would blow them all over the yard. It's like, I'd pull up, and it's like, man, I gotta get these things up. Somebody gonna think I have a drinking problem. I had a great childhood, man. Used to hang out with those guys, and we go do river trips. You know, go up to the Uwharrie River. Got some grandparents live up there. Always loved the woods, man. Was always taught to pack more trash out than I brought in. You know, respect the earth, and we did that river pretty often. You know, it's pretty neat telling your story what comes up. It's like, man, I got misplaced in the woods. I ain't gonna say I got lost, but a bunch of boys went up to Uwharrie and got on the river late and probably smoked a little bit of grass and drank a couple beers, and we were having a good time, and it got late. And I guess I always try to be a hero, right? I want to be a hero, save the day. And without thinking, I told these guys to get out, walk up the road, and I'll go down, get the truck, you know, just get out here, go sit on the road, I'll be right there. And I went to paddling this kayak, and went on down. I'm going to be the hero, right? Went on down the woods, down the river a ways, and it got dark, and I got off the river and grabbed that kayak and dragged it behind me and along the river. I said, well, common sense tell me if I got off the river on my right and the road's on my right, all I got to do is cut through the woods, right? Wrong. I learned a lot of lessons, man. I've stayed misplaced out in those woods, dragging that kayak through briars, cut my legs up so bad I had to turn around backwards, drag it backwards so it scratched the backside of my legs, and just keep on moving. You know, keep on moving. You know, it's, there's a part in the big book says talk about a man who figured he'd get the most out of life if he just managed well. Well, I've always just kept moving. You know, I don't like to sit still for very long. By about 4 or 5 hours later, I made it back to that river. I'd lost my paddle, and got back in the river and took an oar or a stick and went on up, and I made it out though. I saw this truck drive by at the top of the thing, and made it out of there. Like I say, I don't know if my pride says I wasn't lost because nobody found me, but you know, those you know, I guess that was getting right out of high school. Had a good high school. We just had May. Happy May 5th, everybody. I remember May 1st was May Day in high school, boy. And one of my buddies got a 5th of oatmeal string, stashed it up in some towels up in one of the things. And I remember, like, it may have been 5 or 6 of us. Yeah, I got some alcohol. Boy, I drank alcoholically, you know. There may have been a time, and there was a time where a 12-pack would last me a week, 2 or 3 beers. You know, catch a buzz and be all right. But yeah, I remember that May Day, Mama having to come pick me up. Grateful she did before I did something real stupid. And I always drank. I don't think I learned at that time to eat before I started drinking. Bunch of old guys go camping in the woods. We bring us a loaf of white bunny bread and like a 10-pack of those red Jesse James hot dogs and a cooler full of beer, boy, and we heading out. And I remember time after time waking up at about maybe 3, 4, 5 in the morning with those dry heaves. Can you feel it in your stomach? And the yellow bile coming up and just, man, boom, 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 boom. I never told myself I wasn't going to do that again. It's just like, man, I don't feel too good. I mean, there was a lot of that stuff. I mean, had the privilege of going to Alaska when I was about 19. Had the greatest time of my life, man. So grateful at a young age that I'd worked for these little old widow ladies there in Pinebluff, and the word got around about this fine young gentleman that would sit there and talk to you. And I'd clean their yards and mow the grass and chop the weeds, and I'd save $8, $6, $10, $12. You know, really, so I was a good saver. Saved all this money. By the time I was 18, 19, I had, accumulated enough money where I could take a trip. And went with one of my old boss mans. Went to Alaska, and what a great time, man. Great time. I once traded a bottle of whiskey for this little Eskimo, I forget, a husky, that this Eskimo was walking around, and he said, I asked him how much he wanted for the dog. He said, the dog's not for sale. These native Alaskans are, terrible, alcohol's got them bad, man. The ones that I hung out with, I think in the Native American gene, it's pretty strong. They just can't drink, man. I never knew that, I just couldn't drink. Drinking was really a solution for coping with the troubles of life. But, so yeah, this Indian came back around. He said, man, you still want to buy the dog? I said, how much you want for it? He said, $40. I said, man, that's a little too much. He said, well, how about a bottle of whiskey? Yeah, what a better story. Trading a bottle for a dog from this native Eskimo. But ended up hanging out with him and drinking that bottle of whiskey with him that night. And they told me where they were going. Long story short, I let him hold on to the dog while I went back out fishing. He took off, and I knew where he was going. I borrowed a guy's truck and went up there and picked him up. He'd done sold my dog again. And then he asked me if I'd take him to Anchorage, take him home. I thought I was taking him somewhere to a house. Usually we call it home, somewhere where there's a roof and we lay down and we rest. And I took these two guys back to Anchorage, and man, it was taking them to a rest home. It's like, pulled up to a parking lot, and they said, "This is it." It's like, wow, man. And he was telling me, all the friends that got stabbed over 2 or 3 cigarettes and all that stuff. It's like, wow. I love that guy though. He taught me to carve these little salmon out of this cottonwood bark. He's this time I went to church while I was in Anchorage too, and I think the sermon was on the prodigal son. I only know this because I took notes, and I kept a journal. And end of that day, I was roaming around the streets of Anchorage and hooked up with some homeless guys, drinking around a fire barrel behind a Fred Meyer's. I felt at home, man. This is cool. And these guys, there's a camaraderie in Alcoholics Anonymous, the same way with some of those guys out there drinking that are really living a hard freaking life. I've always wanted to feel part of, and I find ways to do that. One of them's drinking around the fire barrel behind Fred Meyer's, and same thing. Now I ended up getting sick. These guys took care of me and made sure I got home all right. Came back from Alaska. All my grandparents, a lot of friends came up there and got to experience that. Wow, if you've never been to Alaska, I would suggest going. It's just a beautiful, beautiful part of creation, man. And I came back and and to be in my brother's wedding, and to build my parents a horse barn, which has never seen horses. And Lou, I'm gonna try and be a hero again. I get a call from my old childhood sweetheart, one of the girls that I had taken her virginity way back in the day. We had this trailer in the backyard, and a whole lot of stuff went down that trailer. Oh man, it burned to the ground. But those memories didn't burn with it. And but I got a phone call from that childhood sweetheart needed a hero again. So Ryan's gonna run to the rescue. Still trying to make the best out of whatever. And I went to Kansas, picked her, brought her back, and engaged to be married. But we weren't married yet. Conceived a child, unprotected premarital sex. Woohoo! And then we're gonna get married. We got married, and I remember her writing letters that I had a daughter, a beautiful daughter, Macy Ryan. She's very, very special, dear to me in my heart. Always has been. I've always tried to be the best father that I could. Alcoholism just not allow that for a long time. But she'd write me letters around. I love our life together, and our child together, and I love you so much, but your drinking concerns me. It's like, what? I don't ever remember reading that. I read stuff and just glance over it, and it doesn't really apply. It doesn't really matter. I'll tell you I love you, but I ain't taking this stuff to heart because I don't see anything wrong. Right? I hate being the last one to know. Still today, sober, with or without a drink, I hate being the last one to know that there's a problem. But I'm grateful that it's men in my life that will tell me today that when I'm off, I'm genuinely happy, joyous, and free. But when I ain't, somebody, you guys, and it's up to me to be honest, tell you what's going on. Because I know what it's like to be trapped in the prison of the mind. It's an unlovely place, alone. So I went and saved that woman. Saved her, right? I lack the power to save anybody. I'm trying to be of use to God and others today, but I stayed married, had another son. If y'all hear him in the back, y'all go back and tell him be quiet. They're back in the Al-Anon right now. Kyler, 2 kids in about 5 years, drinking with alcoholic, living with one. Not that it was all my fault. That marriage ended, and stayed real bitter. Those ex-wives, man, they have a way. I'm sure the ex-husbands too, of just like, they know your buttons, and you're so internally hurt that you want them to feel the hurt that you're feeling so bad that you're just not going to make life simple for them. Yet, are they going to make life simple for you? I don't know. Perception. My perception, really, what's going on. So I guess I wasn't much for going out to bars, but I did like those Thirsty Thursdays where it's like 50-cent Yinglings. And I guess I got my dance moves on, boy. Woo! So I dabbled in that a little bit. I'm strictly, mainly alcohol was my drug of choice. I never really dabbled in much. A little bit of psychedelics. While they were taking 3 or 4 hits and staying up for 2 nights, I was only taking 1. I'm a good boy. I try to be a good boy. I just can't pull it off. But I guess I stay single 2-3 years. A lot of drinking, a lot of I say a lot of drinking. Like I said, I don't remember a whole lot. Is that what they call blackout? I don't know. But I still like to have a good time today. But stayed single a couple years and then ended up getting in another relationship and more unprotected premarital sex. Conceived another child. And it seemed like a good idea to get married. And she knew what she was marrying when she married me. Alcoholic, pretty full-fledged. I say full-fledged. By this time, I'm drinking a 12-pack, almost a 12-pack a day, but I've got a fifth of hot rescue, a Riva vodka out in the old red truck out back, and I'm drinking 2 or 3 hot Budweisers. Well, they'd be cold, but they'd be hot by the time, because I started leaving it outside in the back of the truck. I don't know why I did that. It's obvious. I remember my second wife, saying, "Man, you stink." It's like, I took a shower. I didn't know that, especially that, I guess that Budweiser, that lager, and that after you just all the time, it's like oozing out your pores, man. You stink. Because I smell it on others today, standing in the line at the Piggly Wiggly. Get to the end of that marriage, and we're going to a marriage counselor, and he says, he kind of does an outline of my drinking. Asks me, how much you drink? Well, I drink maybe 4 or 5 beers. 4 or 5 beers, yeah. I didn't know the extent to where I tried to be a good husband. I really did. But my wife was so disconnected. She said, I remember leaving there one night. She says, "You want to have sex with me tonight? You're going to have to buy me a fifth of liquor." And it's like, I'm getting laid. It's like, man. And little did I know how she felt, man. So disconnected. But the selfishness and self-centeredness, it doesn't care. It doesn't care. So yeah, that marriage ended. It didn't end yet. We tried to work it out for a little bit longer, and it came down to I knew she was leaving, and I'm still pushing as much alcohol down my throat as I can. You get the fuzz, drinking so much beer, and it comes up in a puddle, and that just makes room for more alcohol. Stuff it down. And I go camping, and this alcohol is not doing for me what it once did. It wasn't taking the edge off, because I had experienced divorce, and I knew what it felt like, and I knew what those feelings were, and they were coming down, and this alcohol was not doing what it once did for me. And it's like, that sucked. Alcohol quit working. I'm grateful that it did today. So I knew that was going down. There was nothing. I understand powerlessness better today than I think I ever have in my life. This is going down. It's like, man. So she called the next day, said, "Here's the deal. You need to quit drinking and go through a program of recovery. I ain't coming back," or something of that effect. It's like, well, okay. And I remember drinking that day into the night, and I remember swinging in this hammock. I had this hammock with this rope that you could pull and just swing and drink till you had to get up and go pee. Mm-hmm. You drink a lot of beer, you got to pee a lot. So I remember just looking up at this cloud, and the wind was blowing, and it was cloudy. And it's like, I don't know. I knew my life was going to be different. I knew something was going to change. I didn't know how, but I kind of made a mental picture of my father, who's deceased, and God, whatever he looks like. Just two images up there, and my dad always had this shit-eating grin on his face when he's about to do something crazy, because he did some crazy stuff. We love my dad. When he died, I held on to that little girl real tight. I don't know how to process a death, But that night I looked up there, and it's like they were just smiling down. I knew something was going to be different. I didn't know what, and knew my life was going to change somehow. So I guess I passed out. Woke up about 4 or 5 in the morning. I guess about 4 o'clock, and I went out to the back of the truck where I kept those old hot Budweisers, and I popped a hot Budweiser in the christening of the street light, and it's shining down it, and it's like a moment of clarity. It's like, Brian, what in the hell are you doing to yourself? I'm like, man. And there'd been moments of clarity through my life, I'm sure, where it's like, here's an opportunity. God says, here's an opportunity to change. You need to change something. I never saw alcohol's a problem, man. I never could see past what it was doing, but here I'm staring at this beer can. It's like, man, poured it out, man. That was my last beer. And that marriage counselor said I ought to hang out with my older brother, go to AA, and go to Sand Hills Mental Health. And it's like, Sand Hills Mental Health, them people's crazy, man. Pride, man. Pride's so puffed up. It's like, man. But after that night, I was broken. What do I know? It's like, man. So I went to Sand Hills Mental Health, and they referred me to AA. Believe it or not, I believe. I believe all these things were set into place long ago. This building was here. I remember picking up a white chip a long time ago. Out of curiosity. Curiosity will bring you here. It's like, man, I don't remember who was going on. It's like, we'll go check out an AA meeting. Yeah, why not? And I remember coming in here and I picked up a white chip. I don't really remember it. I remember going home that night and finishing the wild turkey I had. I heard some stories about wild turkey too, boy, biting fish's heads off. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff. Actually, I didn't bite his head off. I just held his head in my mouth and separated his body. Perception, right? But all right. I'm back into sobriety. I'm done biting fish's heads off. But I still eat worms today just to freak the kids out. So yeah, man, it was suggested I come to AA. And oh yeah, when I picked up that first white chip, I remember apologizing for smelling like beer. And after I came in the second time, Rochelle, she has 2 twins, hadn't seen her in a while. She said, I remember when you came in that time, you apologized for smelling like beer. All right? I don't know. It's pretty neat. So yeah, I come to Alcoholics Anonymous after that. I was going to go over here to the driving range. My first night, it's like, man, I'll go tomorrow night. I'm just going to go over here to the driving range, go hit some balls. I think boys mainly like to tear up some stuff, just take out some aggression. I don't know if it's hitting balls or bowling. We like to crash it. So I went on up to this driving range, and it'd been closed for probably a year or two. And it's kind of like those irony of what your life looks like. It's a destitute drive. Weeds are grown up. Billboards are broken down. It's like, when did this happen? Oh. And then I get sober, and it's like, man, I got 2 wives and 4 kids. Oh, man. When did this happen? Wow. So I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I got busy. I met my sponsor at the front door. He's about 2 or 3 days sober, and he says, "You got a sponsor?" "Yes, I ain't got a sponsor yet, man." He says, "Don't get a sponsor, you gonna drink?" "I don't want to drink no more." I believe that night when I had that moment of clarity, God removed that mental obsession. It's not like that for everybody, but I think that He wanted me sober that day, that night, and He removed that from me. I did not know that that's mental obsession is what drove me out that door. I love my family. I love you, but I got to go. I got to go, man. That's a strong pull. That is a power greater than myself. So I come and he said, "Well, I don't know nothing. How do you get a sponsor?" He said, "All you got to do is ask somebody." That's so simple. Ask somebody. "Well, will you be my sponsor?" He says, "Well, let me ask you these 2 questions. And then, are you willing to go to anything for alcohol, for victory over alcohol? And are you really licked this time?" And he said, "I don't want you to answer now. Go home and think about it. No, I'll see you tomorrow." I went home and I thought hard. Anybody out there hard thinkers? We really think hard about some stuff because we want to make the right decision. I'm tired of letting people down, man. I'm tired of hurting people. I'm tired of hurting people when I don't even know I'm hurting people. So I came back that night and said, or that next day, and got started, and really haven't looked back. I came in, we went through the book, straight to the book. You take the steps off the wall. You got an off the wall program. And we took the steps right out of the book. We sat in the Al-Anon room. When we got to the 3rd step, we got on our knees and we held hands and took the 3rd step prayer. I've had the privilege of taking other men, through the same process. Even men in prison. The prison work is a huge part of my recovery today. And the first step is kind of like a given. I can't really see the powerlessness until I'm kind of separated from it, and then looking back, like I say, that abandon, it's like, so I've come to believe, in the power greater than myself. I've always had a belief in the power of power. Never really utilized that for any purpose other than I'm kind of supposed to acknowledge something and go about my life the way that I see it should be led, and then I wind up here. I wind up wreckage of my past. I never intended to be a divorcee and all that stuff. And never intended to be an alcoholic. I don't know if it just, I'm grateful that it's treatable. So I come to believe every day, still in a state of coming to believe. I take that 3rd step back there from my sponsor, and it gets me involved in the 4th step, taking inventory. Really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm following through with actions. And then you put it down on paper, and then it's in black and white. And it's like, man, how stupid is this stuff in my head? And then at the very end, it's fear. Fear is a common thread all through my life. Never seen that before. Never acknowledged that there was anything wrong. So I do my 5th step with my sponsor one day. I didn't have a great weight lifted off or anything. It's just like following through with actions, And then other stuff boils up, and I go to my sponsor and tell them to continue on. Other stuff that comes up. We do the 6th and 7th step rather quickly. It's like a train. I'm getting low on these steps, boy. And as the steps are being discussed in the meetings, I'm following through because I can hear where I'm at in the steps, man. So I'm in the process. And it's great. It's like, man, I guess I'm doing all right. Y'all let me know if I'm doing all right. I can't see my own progress. These things, these miracles happen, and it's like, I'm totally unaware because I'm so busy in action, man, that these things take place without me even knowing. So then comes the amends, right? I make this list, and I want to go make amends to this separated wife at the time to get her back in the house, right? And it's like, no, he said, we're gonna practice on a couple of these other ones, and had to rehearse it with my sponsor, because I was like, stick to the script, and it's like, I'm going to ask for your forgiveness. Can you forgive me? It ain't my right. It ain't for me to ask for your forgiveness. It's like, in the hope that you can forgive me. You know, it's all about cleaning my side of the street and taking responsibility for my past actions, and to go to some of the people, it's like, I really don't want to do it. I feel uncomfortable about every part of this. I'm driving down the road, and I still got not voices in my head, but there's these things that screams like, turn around. Like I'm trying to quit smoking one day, and it's like, you're passing the store, well, what are you doing? And man, the problem centers in my mind rather than my body. Well, it does. But I follow through with action, whether I want to or not, because I'm told that this is what we do here in Alcoholics Anonymous. These are what we do. So I follow through with the amends, and I guess I'm starting to change by now, and not so much self-centered and all that stuff, so I get in the 10th and 11th maintenance steps, and I'm doing this thing. My old big book is torn apart. It's falling apart. I don't know if they make them the glue just to fall apart. It's like, I'm proud of that thing, boy. It's all in pieces, and I'm trying to get it back in order. We have the big book stuff. Bam! And those 10th and 11th pages, man, they're dirty brown from the grit off my hand, reading them out of the book. I thought I had it memorized one time, and I talked to my sponsor. I said, man, I about got that 10th, 11th step memorized. He says, let me hear it. And I'm like, he said, no, we're going to read it right out of the book. Okay. So I read it right out of the book like I was suggested. And then 12th step states that having had a spiritual awakening. So I've had a spiritual awakening by this time, I guess. If that's what you want to call it. I don't know. Something's happened. I'm thinking about others more than myself. I'm staying active. I'm painting this wall up here, and I had my head tunes on. We were doing some painting in here, and I was cutting down a long way up there, and the wall started moving. It's like I was falling. And I kicked back, and paint went all over. Y'all notice some of the splots? There's one of these blue chairs out here with little paint splots. That's my marking. I did that. And I had a meeting that night. I said, yep, I had a slip today, guys. Slipped right off the wall. It was a big mess. But got real active. So yeah, spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice these principles in all our affairs, and try to practice them at home. Try to practice them when I think God puts ex-wives in my life as an opportunity for growth. What we have today is opportunities to practice the principles. Yeah. It sounds all good, but when I get a phone call, it's like, I've got all kinds of stories. I was 2 or 3, 4 months sober, and a tree fell on my house, my truck. I went to Fort Lauderdale, made a buttload of money, and left my wallet on top of my van and drove off. And for my own sanity, I imagine $100 bills floating down the road. Not ones or fives. There were, I think I lost like, $1,200, $1,400. That for my own sanity, I believe that some mother with 3 kids was right at town time we're going to start school, and she found like a couple of those $100 bills and got her kids some new Bobo skips and some new jeans and a new lunchbox, maybe a new backpack. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I talked to a guy at the store. He said, "Man, I didn't know what was happening. Man, cars were stopped in both ways and people running around crazy." But, all those things can be replaced. So I did, I guess after about 3 years of being in here, I did try to reconcile that one separated wife, and that didn't go too well. I felt some of the same feelings I felt during drinking. And it's like, man, this is not good for either one of us. So that was really my main reason for coming out into Alcoholics Anonymous, was get that wife back, get her back in the house, and that'll make me happy, right? I'll be whole and content and all that stuff, man. And what Alcoholics Anonymous has done to me, it's done a whole lot of things, for me. But what it's done to me is allowed me to come to a really greater understanding that without a God working in my life, man, I'm screwed. And that fills that hole where alcohol and once did. It's the only thing that's worked for me. That's the things taking place. So now I go to prison on Wednesday nights. Man, I just love going to prison. I think it pays large. These guys just showing up every Wednesday, man. They say, I don't get you guys, man. Y'all show up every Wednesday. Y'all don't get paid for coming out here. Now, every Wednesday y'all are here. That shows accountability. That shows that somebody's showing up. They know they're going to show up. They're here every Wednesday. He says, I don't get it, man. It just, but it shows me that somebody still cares. Somebody still cares, man. And that's a huge message. I don't even know that I'm carrying. And I could just go on and on about all the things that have kept me grounded, kept me busy, kept me green. I like what old Buster says, I don't want to get ripe and fall off that tree. I don't want to get ripe. I want to stay green. I've enjoyed the company of other gentlemen like Big Mike here over in that prison, when 2 guys would be back there jaw jacking and Big Old Mike stand up. Y'all need to go back to the dorm. The man next to you might need to hear something that's going to save his life. And I'm like, I'm going to be a good boy, Mike. But Mike wasn't able to come all the time. I'd be out there by myself, and I'm waiting for these inmates to come out. And I'm this little voice in my ear. I ain't never been to jail. I ain't never been to prison. I ain't never been arrested. I've done all kinds of things that would allow me to qualify for jail, but I ain't been there. It's not part of my story. I was telling Wallace after I picked up a year, and he says, they know how to get in. He says, they don't know how to stay out. All right? That made perfect sense. But I'm sitting here, and I'm leaning against this rail, waiting for my inmates to come, and this voice says, you don't know what you're doing. What do you think you're doing here? Huh? And it's like, God, go to God first. Just remove this thought from my head. Just allow me to be of service to you, and allow you to speak to some of these guys for me. And then, man, those thoughts go. I don't know where they go, but they're gone. It's just that easy. That's been my experience. Well, I'm about done. I'm very grateful to have been part of this tonight. and it's always a privilege. Doesn't always feel like it. It's like, when Kelly asked me the other night, and it's like, man, I got my kids. I'll justify. I got my 2 boys. I can't speak this weekend. Went to a Mudcats game last night with my boys' Cub Scouts, and all the time doing something. It's important for me to, to put this program, because I come to a lot of meetings. I've been sober for a while now, but I still come to a lot. I've come to every meeting I have the opportunity to come to. Why not? Shoot. This is where it's happening. I might miss out on something. I might miss out on getting up and go meeting that new guy. I might be the one. If I'm not here, I hope y'all take up the slack. Go shake that man's hand that's sitting in the back and coming in, holding his head down. Those are things that I've taken upon myself to be at the front door greeting, and to be a part of it, because somebody was there for me, and somebody was there for me. But I usually end my talk with a song that I wrote in recovery. I wrote it with like 2 or 3 days sober. No, maybe a week. I'm still got a little bit of liar going. But everybody hear that one? Too loud? Sorry. It's called Sunshine on Me, I guess. Any day now, hoping to wake up. There's no way to make up for lost time passed by. Come on, truth now. Hope to hear her calling as my skies are falling. Fires in her eyes light the way, leading me on the scene. There's sunshine when she smiles on me. Sunshine when she smiles on me. Another day now, woke to the sound of music, was hoping that I can use it to ease my mind. You ever forget the lyrics to your own song? Get up, go and ask the willing, see how they are feeling. One step at a time, lights the way, leading me. Come to see where there's sunshine when there's smiling on me. Sunshine when there's smiling on me. Today's a day now, waking to face my own face, deep inside the trace of a man so kind. Come forth to tell it now, what makes your world spin round. Deep inside to be found, the one who can light the way, leading me. Come to see the sunshine when he smiles on me. Sunshine when he smiles on me. La 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 la. Oh, when he smiles on me. Sunshine when he smiles. Thank you very much.
Come on.